Wake up, Chief. I need you.
Hello everybody, this is JP3 here, and we're starting a brand new legendary deathless playthrough for this channel. We are doing Halo 4 and starting with mission number 1, Dawn. I very much enjoyed Halo 4 from, I think, the get-go, whether it was the story, whether it was the graphics. I have my qualms with the gameplay that become much more visceral and concerning when on legendary difficulty, but overall I do not plan to spend a lot of time criticizing this game. I think it's been criticized by enough people, and by people that perhaps enjoy it less than I do. So you start out in Dawn in a lot of ways in the way you were left off in Halo 3 at the finale of its campaign.
We're still adrift on the Dawn.
Why did you wake me?
Hang on. Bringing your systems online now.
First, you got to make it out of this
While you were out.
cryo tube.
Busy.
Activating the ship's gravity generators.
Cortana will do that kind of work for you, but there are just a couple of quick time events that occur prior to gameplay actually starting in earnest. At least combat.
Seems like old times.
Ready to get back to work?
I thought you never asked.
I definitely remember just how obvious it was going to be from some of these early interactions. Not only Chief talking during actual gameplay, but also the manner in which he spoke to Cortana, the comments he would make, the things he would say. Very, very unique in the
Years, 7 months, 10 days.
when you consider the other games in the series.
Somebody should have found us by now. What's that?
Sensor scan, high intensity. Doesn't match any known patterns.
How close are we to the observation deck?
It's directly above us. Chief, be careful. Because some areas might have lost pressure.
And here's where we get to the quick time event that is probably more infamous than desirable.
Chief, watch out!
And so each time Chief shakes his head in one direction, you just jerk the stick in that direction to avoid the falling pieces of the ship. And then once you reach this top here, you press the whatever button it is that allows you to melee stuff and punch it in the face.
I thought we had a truce with the Covenant.
A lot can happen in 4 years. Either way, he's probably not alone. We should be
Now this is where combat actually begins in earnest right here. Interestingly enough, though, you do get this freebie. I think you have to make quite a bit of noise to prevent yourself from getting this. On both of the sides here of this raised platform, you have 3 grunts. Halo 4 has quite a bit of headshot bullet magnetism, particularly with its grunts. Well, I guess with grunts, jackals, elites, any non-Promethean enemies, and I would even argue the Promethean crawlers themselves, but we'll talk about Prometheans later. Here you get a very generous amount of it here. As you can see here, just very much easily, except for that guy, one-shotting all these grunts. And I guess it's the trade-off of sorts that occurs in this game. You really can't get too close to the enemies and try to attack them in any other way, I would argue, in Halo 4, especially when you throw it on legendary difficulty. There's a lot of grenades, a lot of overcharges, a lot of Needler, and Needler for the first time in earnest, no matter what, shields up, shields down, you get enough of those needles in you, you will die. It is a hard ping against you, no matter what. Now, there's 2 sides where the boarding craft flank us. The other side is fraught with the possibility that you will be flattened by various things that are various pieces of geometry and cases and such, so it's best to go to this side. And another way to handle that part is to just stand right under the tube there and take everybody out with melee attacks. It's a little bit more risky, but it's not as risky as it might seem. As you see there on both sides, you have 4 grunts and 1 elite, and there's only 1 wave. This isn't Cairo Station where you're going to get wave after wave.
We've got bigger problems. We've got a cruiser on an intercept course. Head for the elevator banks.
And so once that section is done, make sure you load up on pistol ammunition. It's probably nice to leave with 2 grenades. I mean, there's plenty of them throughout there, but I completely ignore that, probably because even though grenades worked out for me pretty well there in shielding that initial elite in the boarding craft room, I don't tend to use them a whole lot in Halo 4. Their weakness in this game is, well, it's a lot like Reach's, but it almost feels even worse. And so don't rely too much on frag grenades to help you out in Halo 4. And I say that, you know, with a certain amount of, same with melee as well. 2 red reticle melees, neither of them have any lunge at all with just your regular old fist there. So yeah, grenades and melee are very, very unimportant in Halo 4. The most important thing by far is to be taking advantage of the headshot bullet magnetism. And as much as I do enjoy Halo 4, I think that this game in a lot of ways, in the very same way that Reach really was leaning that way, it just became more and more about headshots than it is about using grenades, getting grenade sticks. Grenade sticks, just like we saw in Reach, aren't hard pings on most enemies in Halo, or most elites, and all Promethean Knights in Halo Reach, or in Halo 4.
These Covenants seem more fanatical than the ones we fought before.
So in this section here, this is probably your first kind of general choke point, I would say. The reason why is because you have these this box here, and you have jackals entering the fray. You see needlers now, and all that kind of combined with an elite that's willing to throw grenades as soon as he sees you, kind of gives you a little bit more pause than what we've seen thus far. It's actually one of the things that really changed from Halo Reach to Halo 4, is that in Halo Reach, what you saw is you often saw the enemies, the elites, would fire upon you pretty fast and move around, were pretty nimble. What you see in Halo 4, especially, and maybe perhaps only on Legendary difficulty, is that every elite, not just the Ultras, but every elite almost always starts combat from mid to short range with a grenade toss. And so what that does is it keeps you back, it keeps you away from him unless you're close enough and nimble enough, and oftentimes what you're doing is you're waiting for him to throw that grenade and then overcharge him, or somehow otherwise strip his shields and then land the headshot, which again with the bullet magnetism is pretty easy to do. Notice there, because he chose to throw a grenade right off the bat, just like that guy, I don't take any damage at all in killing those guys. No risk at all. Here I overcharge and throw the stick because that guy is essentially stuck in there with the Master Chief Collection. In the original Halo 4, it's my understanding that he was a little bit more scary than he was just then. Which he should be. I think he just, for whatever reason in this version, he just can't get through that door. Doesn't really quite know what to do. But I would only take that for granted in the sense that you can kill him about as quickly as I just did. Now notice where the dropships are letting off here. I tried to focus on seeing if that sniper is over there. There's one Jackal sniper in the area. It is a one-shot D-shield, or a one-shot kill if you've taken any damage. So I am being careful to see if I can catch him off guard, and I do right there. And now I'm going to focus on what's left. I think I took most of the grunts off of that dropship there. And so now I'm just going to be looking for jackals and whatever other cannon fodder has been dropped off and is on its way here. Notice again how deadly that needler is. They can get it to track from a lot longer away than you can. But I will argue that for the first time in Halo history, here in Halo 4, the needler truly is, without a doubt, one of the most dominant weapons in this game when held by you, not just when held by the enemy. The needles track really well, they fire really fast, and so it becomes a robust alternative to using headshots or noob combo type stuff with the elites. It even works very well against jackals, believe it or not. Now, I get a little bit aggressive here, probably more out of impatience than anything else. You don't have to be that aggressive. Just know that once you're close out a battle rifle, there's some right there, which I was relying on, obviously, as I moved forward. And of course, there's a lot of carbine ammo and a couple of the crates that we'll pass by and we'll ultimately take from in a little bit. So there's one more elite to take on here. There were 2 down there and several grunts. And then, as we see, more shield jackals. And then once you get rid of everybody, there will be one more jackal here. A jackal marksman wielding a carbine. Let's go ahead and make our weapon switch here. This guy is pretty easy to deal with. He'll reveal his position by shooting you, and then just come over here and press this button, essentially.
Launch initiated.
So, how you take on this part, there's a lot of different strategies for it. There doesn't need to be a lot of strategies for it. I'm just saying I've seen people do it many ways. There's speedrunning ways in which you could have already cleared out most of this, or finished this stage off if you do speedrunning ways. If you don't use speedrunning ways, you can, again, approach these drops from various positions. I decided to come down here and decided that a while back because I felt like it allowed me to get rid of these jackals the quickest. But ultimately, the elites are going to be parked near where you need to get, where the objective is. And so it really didn't matter, I guess, where you wanted to go. When I thought about after pressing that button, what ultimately matters is that you find a way to get rid of all these guys so you can have just you and the elites, or at least 2 of the elites, maybe even just one of them if you are able to kill one from afar, and just have them alone or relatively alone. I don't really do a great job of that here, though, because there's a couple of different grunts that I think either fell back to the position that that this elite is taken near that objective. It's amazing how they're let off exactly where that objective is. So I guess these are pretty smart Covenant here. They could see that somehow, some way, that's where our ship-to-ship defenses were located. So notice I have that grunt over there. He's really the one that's making this a lot more difficult. Otherwise, I would just rush this elite until he threw a grenade at me. But I'm having to stay too far back because I don't want the grunt, who I'm having trouble, of course, distinguishing between the live ones and the dead ones. I don't want him to, toss a grenade over and make this a lot more painful. And right now, it looked like right there before I killed him, he was taking cover behind a dead body. But anyway, so any plasma weapon will do, as you see there. If you're having trouble with one, then just pick up the other. They're both almost single use in terms of combat or in terms of dealing with 1 or 2 of the elites or whoever you're facing, because their charge depletes really massively fast. I guess I probably don't have to tell you just how nerfed the plasma pistol is in that regard. And so the storm rifle being very similar, except for the fact that it doesn't have an overcharge function. So an unskippable little kind of miniature cutscene there is the the giant metal planet scans us. So the only thing you really have to watch out for here is debris.
We've got to hurry. The second we cross the dome's event horizon, its atmosphere is going to tear us apart.
Where are the closest escape pods?
And just head right in through this door, and we should be good to go from here on out. If you've not played Dawn in a while, it may be to your advantage to practice this if you were going for a deathless run, but as I would advise, maybe just not try for a deathless run. So you're gonna have to do a little jump there, and these grunts will leave you alone Again, no melee lunge at all. I had to really have to get used to that. Really had to get used to that, rather, playing through this series after playing other Halos. Again, I'm shooting them for no good reason, really. You can totally ignore them, and they will generally ignore you. I don't even know if they'll pay attention to you if you start shooting them. I'm not really sure there's any consequence at all to killing them or not killing them. Same with this elite, obviously, who for some weird reason will not backsmack or assassinate until the third punch. Just run to this door, and once you get here, we are all cinematic from here on out, so I'll keep quiet.
Hold on. We're caught in the gravity well.
Can you track the escape pods?
Negative. Look out!
Alright guys, and that's it for Dawn. By far the shortest mission in this game, and I think a really good introduction to this campaign. I think if it would have been a 9-mission campaign with Dawn being the first mission, I would appreciate it a lot more, but unfortunately, because it's so short, and then because it's only one of 8 playable missions, I gotta admit I was a little disappointed with Dawn, I guess in retrospect. However, it does a great job of kicking things off, in my opinion, for Halo 4. So with that being said, I think I'm going to cut things short here. I want to hear what you guys have to say about Halo 4, about my commentary, about my gameplay, questions you have about strategies, about anything you want to try to address. Let me know in the comments section. And, of course, if you have not already, please hit that like button. If you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button and especially that notifications bell. Share this with your friends through whatever social media you prefer. As for now, however, this is JP3 signing out. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you very, 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 very much for watching. Goodbye.